Yeah, hey there. I'm Eric Cooper, and I've been in isolation for 14 days, out for a run, and out on these trails near my house. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so there's no one around. I haven't seen a single person, but people are writing to me. It's like, the back of my neck and deep in the neck and the back, it's tight, it's sore. So, yes, part of that is this closing of the front, and then the neck is working hard to keep the head up. So I have videos about that. I've talked about that a lot. But there's another place that gets locked into this pattern that's just important, because if you're in this pattern, notice how the back of my neck is tight right there. It's like chin is tipped up. Well, as the front relaxes, that tightness in the back that becomes persistent, that is holding you possibly in that pattern. It can't, every little spot needs to be released in the whole pattern for you to be able to come out of it. So I invite you to follow along with me. I'm going to talk you through it, but don't go into any pain at all, none. And if you have some complicated medical situation, just like maybe imagine doing it, not into any pain at all. It's your responsibility to be safe. So there's this joint at the top of the spine, between the spine and the skull. And that joint actually is a joint that is very different than any other joint in the body. It doesn't have rotation. Very little, almost no rotation. It's like a tilting joint, okay? It allows us to nod this, little tilting of the head. In fact, the line that it pivots on is this. There's little muscles right there, rectus capitis lateralis, and there's these muscles deep in the back of the skull, right up there in the very crook, right up in there, that does this tilting and pulls the skull back. And that's what we're going to explore today. Rectus capitis posterior minor and rectus capitis posterior major, and there's one on each side. And there's also obliquus capitis superior back there too. So what I invite you to do is just explore very slowly what it feels like. Can you isolate it so that you're only tilting, you're not bending your neck, you're just sort of rocking the head back and forth on the spine. Now as you tip up, see, as you start to close that back spot there, if you just add a little more effort to lift the chin by tightening that crick in the back of the neck very high up, notice it might be very hard to feel the tension. And I invite you to amplify the tension more and more and focus on where it's hard to feel. Really sort of tighten it up. Can you get a yawning sensation at all back there? And then smoothly, slowly, just be in that space as the chin lowers back to the chest and that spot opens up in the back of the neck. So if it's hard to feel on one side, I invite you sort of to close a little bit more on that one side. What does it take to peak that sensation feedback back to your brain, to have it remember, hey, I've got those muscles, I'm running them, they're hard to feel, they've been on so much. How do you recalibrate so your brain sort of knows that place in your spatial map? So one more time, coming on up, just checking out that pivot and reaching on up, and make it contraction. You're not stretching the front, you're tightening in back. And if you need to add a little bit at an angle or one way or the other, just the right amount for you to make it be yawning like. Look for where it's hard to feel. And then very slowly, you could even put a fingers on your chin as you slowly, a little load on the chin as you let that place in back slowly open on up. Or like that. How long can it get in back? And let's just do that one more time in that yawning like way. Come up with discernment to really make sure that you know where it's hard to feel. We're trying to fill in the somatic perception, because your brain organizes your muscle tension based on what it can sense. So that's why the somatic experience, what you sense of your body, if that's out of calibration, well, we've got problems. We get stuck in our tension when most of our tensions are stress response related. Just one more time, tilting the head up at the top, reaching on up, and try and find that little crook in there. Where's the hardest to feel spot? Really tighten it up, just a pleasurable amount. And maybe loading up with the chin and slow, smooth smooth, lengthening. How long does that get in back? There we go. And then let's just do a little bit more tilting the head. It's as if you're bringing your earlobe down towards the side of your neck. Can you find the contraction in that little crick right there, just a little bit? Can you feel it? And can you be really perceptive of that space as it opens? Just a couple times on one side, closing. We're going to have a nice comparison in a minute, what it feels like on one side compared to the other. And opening, a little bit, just an edge of a stretch. The brain doesn't learn much from a stretch. Just have the muscle close up all the way, and then let your brain know that space of the opening all the way. Beautiful. Okay. And now just sort of sense what you've got on each side. You know, we don't want the other side to be jealous, so put your awareness there. You're bringing your earlobe toward the side of your neck to find that the highest up closing. Close it on up, rectus capitis lateralis, this little tiny muscle. And then slow and smooth, let that open. And one more time, maybe you could go a little bit of the diagonal. It could be exactly on the side, but it could be anywhere back here. Find that sweet spot that just needs to tighten, and find that yawningness. Not into any discomfort, not into any crampiness. And let that open slow, let that get nice and long. One more time, just sort of find where you need to find to sort of know that little spot, to feel it. And then let that open slow, just slow, not to a big stretch, just to a full opening. And now, that's nice, isn't it? And let's do one for rectus capitis anterior at the top of the spine. It attaches to the front of the skull. So what does it take to get a yawning right there, the very highest up? It's like up underneath, inside your jaw, below your sinuses. Can you pull your chin up into your throat? And then let that lengthen on out. Oh, yeah. Try that. Just a couple of times. It's nice lengthening, closing in back and opening in the front. Just soften it out. Just soft, and be in that space opening in front, and slow it down. Space in back. There you go. Try that out. Take care. I'm Eric Cooper, InspireSomatics.com.